Hello and welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we are going to be talking about this nor'easter again, and now that we have more model guidance, our confidence is actually lower because of some recent changes that have happened to the model runs. So this storm is now in boom or bust territory. What is going to happen? Which one of these scenarios is actually going to play out? And in the next 2 days, how many more changes are we going to see in the models before we actually get a concise answer on how much snow are we going to be getting from this? How much snow is affected by the track, the strength, the intensity of the storm, as well as troughing in parts of the U.S. that's bringing in that cold air. There are so many factors here, and they're all changing every 6 hours when we get a new model run. And instead of honing in on one possible route, which we usually see at this point for major nor'easters, we were seeing that with Winter Storm Orlando last year, where you had at least a conciseness of what could happen. And right now we have reverted. We have backtracked from, okay, we had a signal of this could happen, and then we are getting into, okay, let's iron out the details. Now we have to go back to step one. And which signal are we getting now? Are we going to be getting a signal of a major nor'easter, such as the European model, showing 2 to 3 feet of snow in parts of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, but a widespread foot possible from Maine down to the Delmarva? Or are we going to see more of a bust of a snowstorm, where the only areas getting heavy snowfall are eastern Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, eastern New Hampshire, and Maine, and most of the major population centers, excluding Boston, are going to be 1 to 3 inch range? Are we going to see a storm that stays off the coast more? Are we going to see a storm that isn't as strong? We now have to say, okay, let's look at these two possible scenarios and take a look at every single model and see, okay, which one shows this scenario? Our scenario 1 from yesterday, I'll link that video in the cards above, of a European model type of nor'easter that's very significant. Or are we going to see a GFS-like model run? And that's what actually happens. In my personal opinion, at the moment, I think it's going to be in between, right? So Boston in the GFS is going to get 2 to 3 feet, New York getting 1 to 3, and Philadelphia getting 1 to 3. Then in the European model, you have Boston getting 2 to 3 feet, New York getting 12 to 18, and Philadelphia getting 8 to 12. So, I mean, I think Boston will be getting 2 feet-ish. 3 feet's a little high, but I think 24, 25 inches is definitely not out of the question. In terms of New York, right now, I would give them a general 3 to 6, maybe 6 to 12, depending on what model run you look at, especially with the NAM, which we'll get into in a second. And then Philadelphia, I'd give you guys a general 3 to 6, 6 to 12 as well. Somewhere around there. And of course, these are going to be broad, and because we don't know. And that is shown by the NAM, which has been showing, this is the most recent model run, which shows kind of a combination of those two, where the low pressure isn't completely off the coast, but it is limiting impacts in parts of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, parts of Connecticut, where still that major winter storm that we were talking about a couple days ago is still primarily in the further east regions of New England. And that's the current model run. Now we go back 6 hours, not a significant time period, and we just have just a straight miss. Just most of the snow occurring in North Carolina, nothing significant in the Northeast. Then you go back a model run before that, and you have a snowstorm that heavily impacts all the major metropolitan regions, and having significant snow, wind, as well as some coastal flooding in all these cities. Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Portsmouth, like all these areas. So which one's right? This has all been within the past 12 hours of me recording this. We have, let's take New York for example. 24, 0. Then we have like 6 to 12 because my cursor readout's not on. Why is that? Okay, I guess we're going without cursor readout. But now we have to try and pick which scenario is going to happen and then iron out all the details again. So we have to go back to step 1. And that is why I was personally enraged by this. NBC thinks that they're smart. New York City could see between 2 and 20 inches of snow this weekend. Okay, how is this helpful? How is this prediction going to, if you live in New York, would this affect how you go throughout your day on Saturday? Oh yeah, I mean, it's 2 to 20 inches. What could we see? It's a guessing game at that point. An 18-inch spread in terms of, a major nor'easter in a major U.S. city with 10 million people living within its metropolitan area. This isn't helpful to any of those people because, of course, you could see either 2 inches or 20 inches, and NBC is going to say that they're right, but there's no use in actually putting this out there because, one, if you guys are tuning in here, you know that the confidence is low. The confidence is actually getting lower and lower that we're going to see 20 inches, and confidence is getting higher and higher that we see something in between, but maybe even less than 2 inches. So they could be wrong even with an 18-inch range. I mean, typical ranges are usually in that 3-inch amount, but I do expand it as you go further and further out because with a stronger and stronger storm, you get more and more uncertainty. That's just how those strong storms work. And with this storm in particular, right, we are seeing, very significant changes with every single model run because of this whole setup here being very unstable. We do not normally see a 966 millibar low pressure just off the coast of Cape Cod. We don't typically see that. So I know that NBC News has plenty of funding and plenty of cash to put into its meteorology department. And, you turn into a local NBC station, and they have a meteorologist at every single one. At least most of them. But you have the money to have meteorologists on staff that know that the uncertainty is so high that posting anything like this is unreasonable. And, you post it anyway. That just loses you credibility over time because, you're going to start claiming that, you make accurate weather predictions, and people are going to be like, well, yeah, of course you made the right decision. It's an 18-inch range. If you're wrong with an 18-inch range, you got real problems. And the fact that, this is why I love that YouTube has so many meteorologists on here, because we are not afraid to be transparent with you guys and show uncertainties, different model runs, all of this stuff. And, we even see this with the Weather Channel. They kind of zone in more on the European model, which is fine because it's more accurate. But these big news networks are getting, a little bit overconfident in their own abilities, and they're trying to, market themselves over each other with broad, claims that, of course, they're going to say that they're more accurate because they put out an 18-inch range, and yeah, it fell right in between there because it's any inch amount between 2 and 20 inches. Of course it's going to be right. It just really got on my nerves, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. Just, NBC, please save yourself the embarrassment. Just take down the tweet. It's unnecessary. It's an unnecessary tweet. But of course, I'm a YouTube channel with 300 subscribers, and they have probably millions of dollars in their pockets at the moment, so they're not going to take it down. But just know that these types of claims are pure baloney. Well, that's all I have for today. Sorry about the rants, but I can't stand this. Transparency and reasoning is 100% my philosophy, and that's why in the description of this video, you will find the links to these tweets, as well as the Pivotal Weather page, where you can navigate all the models, because I believe in transparency. So you guys can head on down there and track the models with me, and, send YouTube comments, and we can, chat back and forth about the latest model runs. I'd love to have that discussion with anyone that would be interested in it, but that is all I have for today. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell. Stick with me here. We're going to keep covering this storm until it passes. So, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.